My boyfriend has become increasingly hostile and verbally abusive and continues to justify his behavior, and I don't know whether to try to fix it or leave. Hi, I think the title says it all. I feel as though I'm falling into a typical scenario, but I can't be sure. My 26M boyfriend and I 26F have been in a relationship the past 4 years. There have been some big hiccups, but we've always worked past them. A few months back we had a conversation where we both decided the way we fought wasn't exactly healthy, in that we were calling each other names and being overly nasty when angry. So we both agreed to stop calling each other names. Short story is that he has continued name calling during arguments, normally just calling me stupid or a bitch. In addition to this, he refuses to apologize even after we make up. He'll just say, well, you were being a bitch. Lately he's been getting even nastier, with recent comments being fat bitch, and today even called me the C word multiple times. I'm used to being called names due to a hectic and verbally abusive childhood. However, it just continues to break my heart when he calls me these things. Told him after we were done arguing today that he really hurt my feelings, and when I asked for an apology he said he was sorry that I was being a bitch, and then he told me that I was ruining the day before his birthday. At this point I'm scared he's never going to change. It's just been a slope of him calling me progressively more hurtful things, and it feels like he just doesn't care. Is this the type of situation in which a heart-to-heart would be beneficial, or is this just a tuck and run type thing? I'm financially dependent on him right now, which complicates things, but at the same time I want to stay with the person he is when he's nice. I just wish he could see his actions as harmful and stop. Too long didn't read. My long-term boyfriend has become very verbally abusive. However, I don't know if a conversation would actually improve his behavior or if I should just leave. A conversation is not going to fix this. Only he can change his behavior. So I would work on what you can do and figure out your exit plan. And if he offers to change while you're breaking up with him, it's bullshit. Wow, that is super harsh. Nobody deserves that kind of treatment. I've been with the same girl over 20 years and never called her names like that. Not acceptable. Just to be very clear, this is not normal. I can't even imagine my current partner saying anything remotely similar to what you're describing. That would be heartbreaking to hear and elicit a very serious review of the relationship, and I'm talking about the hypothetical first time. Even in my previous relationships, some ending a little rockier than others, we never had arguments like this. This is verbal abuse and is not normal. You do not deserve it, and he will not change. You need to leave. You can and will find someone who treats you respectfully. Fuck that. You need to get out and never look back. Is there somewhere you can go? I asked for an apology. He said he was sorry that I was being a TCH. Yeah, that's not an apology. He's already indicating he won't change, so this verbal abuse will just continue unless you end things. My 28M relationship with my Naggy mom, 62, is non-existent. How do I develop it? Too long didn't read. Introverted guy, no much friends. My mom is hard to deal with. Non-existent relationship with her because she is difficult to deal with. I am a very introverted person, and only child. I have just 3 friends, 2 of which I happen to have very limited communication. I get along fine with my dad, 61 /. We speak about random stuff, share interests, and we like each other, most of the times. That is the reason I feel so bad when the few people I have in my life are falling apart. I do not get along with my mom at all. We do not talk about anything. She just complains about her life being so miserable, hating my dad for stupid mistakes from years and years ago. When she does talk to me, she is constantly nagging me about dumb things, despite the fact that I am a grown-up man, living away from her house and not seeing her for 2 weeks at a time. I love my mom, but I feel sometimes that I love her because she took care of me, and I owe her that. But I hardly know her as a person. She has no hobbies, no interests, nothing, which makes it hard for me to spontaneously talk to her or wanting to spend time with her. I feel a terrible person saying this. If my dad goes, which will probably happen before my mom, I would feel utterly devastated and terribly lonely, more than I already feel. Do not get me wrong, I have spoken to my mom about this situation, but she just do not get it. It seems she has some kind of mental issue, maybe related to obsession, or I don't know, that she just reverts back to tell me about the mistakes of my dad or her miserable past, which makes talking to her rationally utterly impossible. Anyways, I would like to get close to her. She is my mom, for Christ's sake. We both will need each other in the future. Thank you. Hello Deepresh. I think your mother is mentally involved in an emotional loop related to her husband's past. This situation will help you both simultaneously. For you because of your introversion, and for your mother to come out of her emotional loop which causes her a lot of psychological damage. Start by spending more time with her. In principle, at home, make yourself a homemade coffee and invite her for a cup of coffee. If she doesn't like it, then a tea. Even if she doesn't look at you, talk about your thoughts and problems you've had during the day, and above all try to explain how those problems or situations make you feel. You should see a reaction from your mother asking questions about your feelings or situations that you tell her about. If in a couple of months she still doesn't respond and isolates herself from everything in her loop, you should take her to a psychologist. May the peace and mercy of God be with you and your family. Thank you, I will try it. My mom is very similar, especially in the sense where it's hard for her to accept that she's ever done anything wrong, and she's very resentful from her past. I 100% hear you. Growing up, I felt like she was definitely overly critical of me, and we just butt heads like crazy. Now, at 29, just this year during lockdown, I was able to just accept her and accept everything in my life as they are. Like you, I also just wanted to form a relationship with her despite everything. What helped me was changing my perspective about her and a lot of things around me. She's never going to change, and that's okay. Like everyone, she has gone through trauma in her life, but unfortunately she's still hasn't able to get through, but that's not my fault. I love her and I know that she's meant well when raising me, even if I never agree with what comes out of her mouth. And finally, she will never ever understand what I have gone through, as I may never understand her journey. Give her a call more often to check up on her. How are you? May even just be start. Even if it's just 5-minute conversations, checking in with her. A little goes a long way, and you're being genuine and not forcing conversation. My mom and I are very different, but these weekly check-ins I do with my mom, I recently learned actually meant a lot for her. We may not be where I would like to be with her, but at least I can say that I'm making an effort and our relationship is growing in baby steps. Just remember that what you think of yourself matters the most. It may feel and seem like the people around you aren't always reliable, but we're still young. There's still life ahead to live. You will get through this stage. You will also come to forgive and accept your mom on your own time. You matter and you're great. Smiley face. Look, your mom is in her 60s, and it sounds like she has always been like this. She's not going to change. This is who she is. Not all of us get the parent we want. You are wanting something that you see others have. You need to accept that this is the reality of your relationship. But you are wrong on one part: you don't need each other. I'm so sorry you have a mom like this. You deserve to have a mom who engages with you the way you need. But, judging by your post, she's unlikely at this stage in her life to change her habits. Doesn't sound like she wants to. As painful as it is, it might be time for you to accept that your relationship with your mom may never be what you want it to be. I've had to do this with family members, and it's incredibly sad and hard to do. If you want a relationship of some kind, that is perfectly okay. I am not saying to cut her off or whatever. I'm saying that you might have to accept a surface level relationship. If she can't be spontaneous, then schedule a weekly call or visit. During that time, keep it casual. Weather, basics of how you're doing, your pets. And she nags, don't engage. Just listen without getting emotional, and if she presses the issue, inform her that the issue isn't up for discussion. and stick to your guns. I know the standard response to say go to therapy, and I also know firsthand how difficult, uncomfortable, and expensive going to therapy can be. So instead, I recommend looking into books and articles by people who've dealt with similar situations. You aren't alone in struggling with a parent who isn't meeting your needs. And I think it's pretty admirable that you're still trying to make this work. Just don't forget to take care of yourself while you do. One person in the world who is truly owed your love is, in fact, you. I don't know whether you should pursue a relationship with her honestly. It sounds more like you're doing it out of a non-existent obligation. If you do want an actual relationship, I suggest you lay down ground rules. She offends you, you walk away. Maybe have a meet-up once a week for starters, and see how that goes, but remember you are your own person, and you don't need to answer to anyone but yourself. I wish you the best. Girlfriend, 24F, won't invite me, 24M, to an event because a guy will be there that she had past relations with. So, a bit of background here before I get into the specifics. My girlfriend and I have been together a little over a year now, and things have been incredible. I've been in 3 other relationships before this one, and this is the first time I feel like I'm with someone who really cares about me and supports me emotionally. Things were a bit rough towards the beginning of our relationship, and I'll elaborate. Before we started dating, we had been FWB for a couple of months as she had just gotten out of a long-term abusive relationship, after which we reconvened and started getting close. Around the 3rd month of us hanging out, I wanted us to be exclusive, so pushed this on her multiple times, to which she was hesitant to give a straight answer. I mean, who could blame her after being fresh out of a dead and long-lasting relationship? But she exclaimed she was not interested in seeing anyone else. I took this to heart, so assumed I really was the only guy she was messing around with. And then one day came where I had massive suspicions that she was sleeping with this other guy. Let's call him Pete. I calmly confronted her about it by asking if she'd hung out with him the night before, and that I feel as if I deserve to know out of morality and how close we'd become. She said she absolutely did not, and repeated how I was the only guy she was interested in sleeping with, and we began our relationship shortly after this time. Fast forward 5 months, in a huge bout of guilt and tears she admitted she had in fact slept with Pete a few times before we started dating, but only because she wanted to make sure I was the one she wanted. Again, I completely forgave her, especially after what she'd been through with her ex. I can understand needing a breather from commitment. It did, however, take some time to get over the fact she had lied to me, but it has since sizzled. Fast forward to the present day. Earlier this week she mentioned that her sister's 21st birthday is coming up soon. Note that Pete is very close friends with her sister, and after a recent breakup her sister lost a lot of her friends, so Pete has become one of her few remaining friends. After she mentioned the birthday, she told me that my sister asked me if I'd be comfortable with you coming, just because she knows it might be awkward with Pete being there and all, followed by I'm sorry it seems selfish, but my sister's 21st is very important to me, and if I brought you there it would just make me anxious and guilty about what I've done. I don't want to remember that night by those feelings, so I don't want you to come. Now, a part of is really trying to empathize with her here. It's absolutely true that she has no obligation to invite me to any of her outings. That would be controlling. But the fact that her reasoning behind it is to prevent an awkward situation with Pete made me feel incredibly hurt, almost as if she's using her anxieties as an excuse to guard the fact that she's really protecting the other guy's feelings over mine. We got into a big argument over this, and I tried explaining that she should see it from my point of view, but she got into the argument of you should support whatever makes me feel most comfortable, and the fact you're not is hurtful. I really want to support her in all situations, but this one just seems flat out hurtful. Am I wrong for being so hurt by this? Every time I've brought it up she has made me feel like I'm the asshole for assuming I'm invited, but her sister technically has no problem with me going, it's only my girlfriend that does. If anyone has any advice on how to tackle this situation, please let me know. It's making me so anxious that I'm reconsidering if she's the type of girl that I'd want to spend my life with. Thanks. Too long didn't read. Girlfriend doesn't want me at a party just because a guy will be there that she slept with behind my back before we were dating.